Okay, it's time to build the final part. This is the side that will go against the material that you're going to cut. For lining up the track. So it has basically some plywood, 3/4 plywood. Now I could build this out of solid wood the way I did these blocks. The reason I went with solid wood on these blocks is with that tongue, I thought the 3/4 plywood, those would be fragile over time, and I just felt that the solid wood would hold up better. In this case, I don't need the solid wood. I certainly could use it. I have plenty of scrap maple, but I'll save that for another project. I tend to have a lot more scrap ply, 3/4 ply, since I use it for everything. So I'm going to make it out of that. I also need some 1-inch aluminum angle, and again, this is scrap. I save, anytime I'm on a job doing demo, when there's any aluminum, I'll hang on to it for little projects. And then 4 quarter 20 by 2-inch machine screws. I'd actually like to have it more than 20, maybe like 24 or 32. It'd give you a finer adjustment, but this is what I had, and so it will be good enough. And then 8 nylon nuts. These are the nuts that have the nylon inserts, and so they're kind of a lock nut. And so what I'm doing a little different than Emily's, I've taken her design and I've just added the adjustability, and this is a micro adjust to be able to calibrate first the cut to make sure that the track is right where you want it, and to make sure they're calibrated with each other. If I finish the design and have it all set up the way it's finished, if I screw this down and bolt this on, then obviously I can pull the tape in and out for the cut, but if they're not exactly, I mount them and they're off just a little bit, I can then, with a wrench and a screwdriver, I can make micro adjustments, again, to calibrate 2 of these as well as to fine tune them to make it so that when I pull the tape out, and the tape is in centimeter, I'll be able to trust that when I put it right on the line and crank it down, that'll be the cut I'm getting. So that is the one change that I've made to the design, but other than that, this is exactly what Emily came up with. So I'm going to make, again, just like I did with these blocks, I'm going to make 1 unit and then just cut 2 out of it. And again, that's why maybe a little bit more. These are 4 inches. Actually, they're about 4 1/4. Yeah, they're 4 inches long and 3 1/2 wide. I'm going to drill these holes all the way through all the pieces, 1 inch in and 3 inches in from each end, and then when I'm doing the final cut, I'll just measure over 4 and measure over 4 and have 2 pieces exactly the same. So now that I have the pilot holes drilled through all 3 components, I know they'll line up, and I have them marked with a 1 and a 2 so I know what the orientation is. I want to drill a recess for the head of the screw to drop into. These I'll want to spin just a little bit. Nuts will always remain where they are in place. That's what will keep the angle lined up. But I want them loose enough that the screw will turn into the nut that's going to be in the other part of the block. So I've tightened them all the way down, and I don't have any head sticking up here, so I know this is nice and clean. And then what I'll do is just back them off just a little bit so that with the help of a screwdriver, they'll spin. So now I want to be able to tap these nylon nuts into the face of this for those to go into. So for this particular nut, 7/16 will give me just enough to tap them in. Now I'm going to tap these nuts in, these 4 holes. Before I do that though, I need to plow out another hole through the center. Of course I have the center point in there from the screw tip that I can align to, and that is so that as I screw these in, they'll have the screws will have a place to go. When I start my calibration, I want to start with probably about 1/4 of an inch left of the thread, so that'll give me the ability to go back 1/4 of an inch. Put a piece of 1/2 inch plywood, or pretty close to 1/2 inch, and just screw it all down to there. I know I'll have all of these right at the same starting point. Okay, so I've got them all. Got a piece of 1/2 inch that fits in there perfectly straight. And again, that's just a gauge. Now what I'm going to do is cut this hole, set up 4 inches in from both sides, and that'll give me 2 identical pieces. The next thing to do before I bolt the blocks onto the tape, I need to cut the tape, and I want to figure out about where I need to do that. So I will lay out a couple of marks on my bench to put the track to. Put it right on 50. These have a really nice indicator, pretty easy to read. And I'll crank it down, cut the tape at about 15 centimeters. And then the back edge of the block will be right on the 19 centimeter. So I'll do them both exactly that way, and being that these are calibrated right now, that should make me a perfectly parallel cut, but obviously I have the adjustability that I built into these to fine-tune them. So 15 centimeters. This is the most expensive part of the setup. These are a little over $50 a piece, but they are a very nice tool. I'm not sure if these might be made of stainless, but they are a really nice material, and they coil up really nice. Obviously their design is for the jigsaw. To mount the tape to the block, 6x32 1-inch machine screws with a nut, a lock washer, and then I have a little bit larger kind of a dished-in washer. I'm doing that just to the larger washer across the back to squish down on the tape to really hold it tight and keep the tape from wearing. So I'll find the location that it's going to go. I know that it's going to be flushed up right to 19, and then I'll put a mark on the back. Start it with the punch. Then I have these 1-inch machine screws, which I need to cut down. They stick out a little too much. So these electrical plier strippers, they have the screw cutters built into them, and so if you thread them in through the proper hole to the amount you want to cut off, and then when you back it out, it'll straighten the thread out. And I'm just going to clamp this down so if I push or pull, it won't go anywhere. So now I'm going to mount the blocks, and I don't need to put one on each end for setting it up. I'm going to put them side by side, and I'm going to set both of them to 50 centimeters. The edge of the bench would be the edge of my plywood or whatever I'm cutting with the track saw. I've got the I've got the track measured from the edge of the bench, right, so my cut would be 50 centimeters. And, you know, it's nice and parallel, because if I had it off a bit, you know, it might change a little bit here. So even though I'm not using that end, I wanted to know that I was nice and straight. And so now with both of these set right to 50 centimeters and tightened down, all I need to do is take the edge block, put it right up next to the material, and then I'm going to use 2 wood screws to attach it. Well, that looks pretty straight. Let's check the dimension. 40 and just shy of 3/16. 40 and just shy of 3/16. All right, you got a chance to see me make Emily Adams' Festool parallel guides. And now time for the final analysis. Obviously, I haven't tested them in the field other than a cut or two. I like them so far. I'm glad I have them. They give me a lot of cut capacity that I don't get with the stock parallel guides from Festool. They are a bit floppy, so setting them up, getting used to them versus the rigid guides from Festool will take a little retraining on my part. But the ability to go longer is really important. I did not follow Emily's instructions. I made, I think, a couple of adjustments that will enhance it, the ability to fine-tune it, and also a little shorter knob. On the other side, she showed a detail that I ignored, and that was in cutting out for the flange bolt, she left it rounded, kind of curved, so it trapped the flange bolt and kept it in line with the tongue. I have to fuss around with straightening it out. So I'm going to remake these blocks the way Emily did. I should have followed the instructions. Couldn't quite figure out why she was doing it that way, but she did it right, I did it wrong. So if you watched me make this and you saw me chisel this out, take your time. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, just leave enough in there that it'll bind this, and that way when you drop it on the track, that'll be in line every time and you won't have to fuss to get it straightened out. I love the fact that these are so portable. I can take these, use them in the shop, I can take them on the job, they don't take up any room, and they give me a lot of flexibility. Emily, good job. Thanks for entering the competition. So if you like this video and you'd like to see more like them, share it with others. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.